In one of New York's wealthiest neighborhoods, behind the shining glass windows of a mansion, a dark secret was hidden. A little girl with Down syndrome cried out for help, her voice echoing through empty halls, while her stepmother's cruelty stayed carefully disguised. No one dared to see the truth until a black cleaning lady stepped into the house. What she discovered would not only expose unbearable abuse but also shake the life of a powerful millionaire to its core. But how far would one maid go to protect a child who wasn't her own? Elena Ramirez had always lived in the shadows of other people's wealth. At 45, she carried the quiet strength of someone who had endured more than most would ever know. After years of cleaning homes to make ends meet, she finally secured a position in the Harrington estate, a glittering mansion in New York's Upper East Side, where every corner gleamed with polished marble and wealth seemed endless. To Elena, it was just another job, but to the world outside, it was a symbol of privilege and power. On her third day, she moved silently from room to room, careful not to disturb the perfect order of the household. She knew her place. Maids were meant to be invisible, present but unseen. Yet even in silence, she noticed what others ignored. Behind the expensive curtains and designer furniture, she sensed something was off. The air inside felt heavy, unsettled, as though a secret was buried deep within these walls. Then she heard it, the faint, muffled cries of a child. At first, Elena paused, unsure if she had imagined it. But the sound grew sharper, trembling with pain and fear. It was not the cry of a spoiled child denied a toy. It was the cry of someone who had been neglected for far too long. Elena's heart tightened. Memories she had tried to bury came rushing back. Her own younger brother, born with Down syndrome, who once suffered under the cruelty of strangers while she stood powerless as a child. Now, in this mansion, history seemed to echo before her eyes. She didn't know it yet, but those cries would drag her into a battle far greater than just keeping a job. At first, Elena told herself not to get involved. She needed this job, and speaking up against the Harringtons could mean losing it. But the cries of little Emma grew impossible to ignore. Every day revealed a new piece of the hidden cruelty. The child's meals were skipped, her toys were taken away, and her soft voice was silenced with harsh insults. Clarissa, the stepmother, carried herself with elegance at dinner parties, charming guests with her smile. Yet in private, she treated Emma as though the girl were a burden, a stain on her perfect image. Elena watched as the lies stacked higher. On phone calls, Clarissa assured her husband Jonathan that Emma was thriving, happy, and well cared for. But Elena saw the truth. Emma's fragile body weakened by hunger, her eyes dulled by fear, her small hands shaking as she tried to draw comfort in silence. Each time Elena offered her a sandwich, the little girl's face lit up as though she had been given a treasure. And that joy only deepened Elena's resolve. The memories of her brother haunted her. Years ago, she had been too young to protect him from abuse in foster care. That guilt never left her. But now, standing in the grand halls of a mansion, she recognized another child who desperately needed someone to fight for her. Elena refused to remain silent this time. She began to act quietly, carefully, knowing one wrong step could cost her everything. She slipped a small recorder into her apron, capturing Clarissa's venom as she hissed words like slow and disgrace. She snapped photographs when she noticed bruises hidden beneath Emma's sleeves. Most heartbreakingly, she encouraged Emma to draw. With crayons meant for innocent play, the little girl sketched pictures of herself crying, of large figures towering over her, of empty plates and shadows. They were simple, but each stroke spoke louder than words. Elena wasn't alone. She reached out to Dr. Michelle Torres, an old friend and social worker, who guided her on how to collect evidence strong enough to stand in court. Each passing week, Elena built a file. More than 10 recordings, dozens of photographs, and stacks of drawings. Slowly, her hidden collection grew into undeniable proof of cruelty. Yet the danger grew as well. Clarissa noticed Emma becoming more attached to Elena, laughing and learning under her care. The stepmother's jealousy burned hotter. On the surface, she smiled and played the part of the perfect wife, but behind closed doors, her punishments became sharper, her temper more violent. She even whispered plans to her mother over the phone, to send Emma away to a special school, so she could finally have her perfect family without Jonathan ever knowing. Elena's stomach knotted as she listened to those words. Time was running out. She had to act before Clarissa's plan became reality. But she also knew this. If she moved too soon, without the right proof, not only would she lose her job, Emma would lose her only protector. The mansion's walls felt like a trap, holding secrets that could either save or destroy a child's life. And every day, the line grew thinner between discovery and disaster. The day of truth arrived when Jonathan Harrington, for once, decided to work from home. The mansion, usually a place of polished silence, grew tense under his watchful presence. He had never questioned Clarissa's stories about Emma until he began to see the contrast with his own eyes. With Elena, Emma laughed, learned, and blossomed. With Clarissa, she froze, her every movement shaped by fear. That afternoon, a single accident shattered the carefully built illusion. Emma spilled a glass of water on the dining table. For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then Clarissa snapped. Her hand clamped onto Emma's fragile arm, yanking her so hard the child winced in pain. She shoved her toward the staircase, her voice dripping with venom. But this time she wasn't alone. Jonathan stood at the doorway, frozen in disbelief as the mask of his elegant wife cracked before him. Elena's heart raced. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment truth could no longer be denied. Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, no longer just a maid but a protector. With trembling hands but unwavering resolve, she revealed the evidence. Recordings of Clarissa's cruel words, photographs of bruises hidden under sleeves, and Emma's heartbreaking drawings. Each page a silent cry for help. Jonathan's face drained of color as the reality sank in. The woman he trusted had been torturing his daughter, while the one he overlooked, just the maid, had been the only shield standing between Emma and despair. Clarissa stormed in, her fury wild, spinning lies, blaming Emma, blaming Elena. But the evidence was undeniable. Every recording cut through her excuses. Every photo destroyed her performance. Jonathan's voice trembled, not with doubt but with rage. For the first time he saw the truth, and the weight of it nearly crushed him. In that office, with the walls closing in, one decision would determine Emma's future forever. The truth left no room for escape. Jonathan Harrington, horrified by the evidence, ordered Clarissa out of the mansion. Within weeks, the courts stripped her of everything: her wealth, her status, her carefully crafted reputation. With abuse proven beyond doubt, she was denied alimony and abandoned by the same social circles that once adored her. For Clarissa, the fall was steep, and the silence that followed was the echo of her own cruelty. For Elena, life changed in a very different way. Jonathan offered her more than just a job. He gave her security, respect, and a permanent place in the household. Yet what mattered most to Elena was not the salary or the title, but the sight of Emma slowly blooming. 6 months later, the girl who once cowered in fear now laughed freely, learned new words every week, and proudly signed her name on paper. Elena had not only saved her, she had rewritten her future. But the deeper meaning of this story reaches far beyond the walls of one mansion. How often are women like Elena dismissed as just maids, overlooked because of their race or class, when in truth, they carry the strength to change lives? How many children like Emma suffer in silence because no one dares to listen? Racism, discrimination, and cruelty thrive in the shadows of indifference. Elena's courage reminds us that real strength is not in wealth, power, or privilege, but in the bravery to stand up for the vulnerable, even when the world tells you to stay silent. So ask yourself, in a world where injustice still hides behind polished walls, will you look away, or will you be the one who steps forward, like Elena, to protect those who cannot protect themselves? What do you think about Elena's courage and the way she stood up for Emma when no one else would? Stories like this remind us that real heroes often come from the most unexpected places. If this story touched you, make sure to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories that need to be heard.